I'm delighted to be speaking with Deborah Neeshaw from Design Thinking again. Thank you for joining us, Debbie.
Thank you, Robert. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. So look, I keep coming across people who, when we talk about creativity, they say, oh, I'm not creative, I don't have a creative bone in my body. And I kind of struggle with that. I never know what to say to those people. What do you say? What can we do to help these people who think they're not creative?
Okay. Yes, it's interesting, isn't it? The first thing I ask them is I ask them to give themselves a score between 1 and 10 in creativity.
Okay.
And then if they come in with a very low score, I ask them why that's so. And it's quite often because they're not artistic.
Okay.
So they can't paint, or they can't draw, or they can't compose.
And is it right to link being artistic with creativity?
Well, look, being artistic is certainly a type of creativity.
Right, but it's not all there is.
Exactly. There are many different types of creativity. And the creativity that we look at a lot in business is Ken Robinson's definition, which I love, is having great ideas that add value.
Having great ideas that add value.
So I might say to them, well, you know, if it's not about asking you to draw an apple absolutely beautifully, some people can do that and some people can't, and you can also learn to do that. But what about coming up with 10, 20 different interesting uses for that apple?
Okay.
So that's a different sort of creativity.
Yeah. So the main response in it sounds is to shift away from the kind of the classic thinking. It's you don't have to be good with your hands. You don't have to be able to design or create stuff.
Exactly.
But it's your thought processes.
Yes, it's to challenge what people's notion of creativity actually is, and to acknowledge that there are many different types of creativity.
And tell me, is there a an exercise by any chance that you do with somebody? I mean, you've just given us an example of one there, I guess, but is there anything else that can just really kind of shake someone and prove to them you are creative, you are creative? Is there any other things that
Yes,
you do?
You know, we might ask them to come up with 20 different uses for an apple, or to be quite playful. So I use games a lot in my training programs, and when you get people to play, they tend to be creative in despite of themselves.
Yeah.
And so it's only afterwards that you'll say, okay, well, now how are we going now on those scores? So
much
being
better, yes,
much
okay.
better, yeah. Being playful is very helpful.
Being playful, okay. And I guess this is, you know, I'm thinking of particularly people with young kids. You know, they are often, you hear people saying, "Oh, I'm rediscovering my childhood," and all these things. And basically, what they're doing, I guess, is they're rediscovering their playfulness. In many
Absolutely,
cases.
and children are not inhibited. You know, again, Ken Robinson has a lot to say about the education system and how it knocks creativity out of us. You know, so that peer pressure to conform, and plus creativity is not rewarded particularly well in schools. That's changing, thank goodness. Okay. So yes, it's about having a fresh mind. It's about being able to see. Creativity is about being able to see things from multiple perspectives.
So tell me, when somebody leaves one of your courses and they arrive as a kind of 2 out of 10, I'm not creative. They leave as a 7 or 8 out of 10, I am creative. But then 48 hours later, they're back in their I'm not creative kind of world. How can we take something and kind of, you know, maintain it? How do we remind ourselves that we're creative? Any thoughts with that?
That's a good point. I think it's important to acknowledge the things that we do that are creative, possibly keeping a journal, possibly checking in with other people, and to remind ourselves, well, actually, I did that. That was pretty creative.
So keep things that you've done, again, they don't have to be things you've drawn, but ideas that you've had, anything, and keep them in front of you.
Yes.
Which, again, I guess is so easy to do these days with digital photographs and video. We can do that.
Absolutely.
Debbie, thanks so much for joining us again for this brief chat. So if we want to find out more about you and your creative thinking, we go to designthinking.com.au.
That's right.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.